Hey, it's Victor at Social Firestarter. It might seem awfully simple to register or to begin to register for a new Google My Business listing, but a lot of times we run into hurdles. We've seen plenty of attorneys that kind of get stuck somewhere along the way and either place incorrect information or they just didn't know what they were getting themselves into with the way that they were verifying their listing. Either way, the guidelines that Google provides, like on this page right here, they're not very thorough. There's a lot that is just not included that is very much worth knowing. So I thought I'd make this video to explain all those different details that you should know about if you're going to verify a new listing for a new law firm location. So first, I want to start by talking about the very first simple details that need to go in there. So the name, address, and phone number of the business listing. It's super important because that is what actually begins to build the entity that you are creating with the listing. So it's worth understanding that this is a separate property, like a separate digital property than your law firm's website. You should understand that although your website can bring you phone calls through organic visibility, the listing can provide you completely separate local visibility, which is over on the Maps platform. So big distinction there, organic rankings and local rankings. Basically, your website helps you directly by giving you organic rankings so that you have results on various search queries that people are asking you. But if you are taking a look at the map pack, or if you are thinking about all the people just on the Maps platform in general, those people will see the Google My Business listing. They don't actually see the website. So it's very important to distinguish those two, because there are, if you end up ranking your listing, you'll get phone calls, you'll be able to get new business, and you need to understand that it's coming from the location, not exactly from the website. So super important that the address that you're choosing, and this is like my first big tip here in this video, the address that you choose, you have to make sure that it is a good one. There are a bunch of different research type of steps that you should take to make sure that you're not basically establishing yourself on an address that Google already doesn't even like, an address that Google thinks is spammy. That's not going to do you any good for the future, because if anything is to happen to that location, whether it is a random algorithm update, whether it is Google randomly cracking down on GMB listings, or whether there is a legitimate some sort of rule broken with your listing, Google can come around algorithmically or in an automated way. They'll come around and suspend the listing. So you want to make sure that you're establishing yourself, following all the terms of service, so that you understand that, or so that you don't end up taking additional risks for that listing in the future. So name, address, phone number. The name, I'm sure you've seen people out there that will stuff the business name for their listing. Obviously, that's not compliant unless you have paperwork to back up that brand name. So unless you're trying to place additional risks on your listing, you should know that if you basically key term stuff your brand name on the GMB and something is ever to happen, if it ever triggers suspension or re-verification, you'll basically be locked out of that listing completely, and you'll lose out on all that visibility, because Google is not going to reinstate your listing if it is not compliant to their terms of service. So again, a lot of things to look, sort of look ahead. You don't want to create risks for yourself ahead, create problems down the road. So you can avoid a whole lot of hassle by researching the address. So I did a different video on this channel for the Possum filter, understanding what the Possum filter is. So if you want to learn more about how to research the address before using it for a listing, definitely look for that video about that Possum filter. It goes into detail about what to look for with the address to make sure that nobody else is using it. So yes, that's the biggest thing. Make sure that nobody's using the address. If it's an address that already has an attorney there, especially one with the same practice area as you do, you are basically creating a Possum filter situation. So you can't simply just verify a new listing on the same address as another attorney, because what happens is Google's already addressed this in the past to avoid people just spamming a location. So what happens is if there are multiple attorneys on a location on the same address, even if it's a different suite number, you can still run into that Possum filter. And what happens is every single attorney will get filtered out. They will get no local visibility, and the one attorney that has the highest amount of authority factors, specifically, they will be the only one that's actually visible out of all of the ones on that address. So do not place yourself in a position where you're using a shared location and other people can easily overtake and completely wipe out your local visibility. So no shared suites, no PO boxes, no virtual addresses, nothing that tries to circumvent the fact that you need a fixed location where you can meet people face to face. Anything where you're working around that, sure, if the verification postcard arrives, yes, you can get the listing live, but that does not mean that it is compliant. And of course, if anything is to happen to that listing, you pretty much will lose it completely. So that's pretty much a lot that, a very big part of the address that you want to make sure you're getting right, because you don't want to build up a bunch of signals and mentions to this listing if it's going to be a risky one in the future. So other than that, I would say these details here, and if you want to look at this, you can always just search this title into Google and you can find this page. This basically gives you the eligibility. It is a little bit generic for any type of business, so a lot of this can be kind of confusing. But if you want to read all the tiny little details that they provide, I basically already summarized this, but you can pull up the same page. Now, I want to go over and talk about what happens if you get all of the details correct, but you still can't verify the listing. So it is possible, and a lot of people have been getting this over the past year, where you submit all the information that is correct for your law firm, but the listing basically, let's say you get the postcard and you put in the code and then it just gets stuck in pending. It just weeks go by and it still says it is pending verification for quality reasons or whatever it might be. I've seen this a bunch where people get stuck in pending and it can be months that go by and just nobody actually looks into what's going on, so it never actually gets fixed. So why does this happen? Well, a lot of times, I would say most of the times, it is because Google can't verify the information that you're using when you inserted it, the information that you inserted into your listing. If they can't verify the legitimacy of that location, they're not going to verify it. So this is a little bit confusing because I'm sure you have found plenty of spam listings out there. So yes, it can get right past the filter, but nowadays it's a little bit more strict, and I'm seeing lots of more people that don't have citations and profiles built. They get stuck in pending because they're trying to verify a completely new brand, new entity that Google has never seen online before. And you're expecting Google to just take your word for it, when a lot of times They don't take our word for it. They go and they look for third-party information to verify what you've placed into your listing, and then they'll decide if that should be verified or not. So while that might be really frustrating, there are ways to address this and to either reduce your chances of this happening when you verify your listing, or to go ahead and fix this if it is happening to you right now. So how do you fix it? If it's stuck in pending, obviously you can reach out to support and see if they'll open up a ticket for you. Sometimes they are not really trying to open up the ticket for you unless you are more persistent. Sometimes they'll just say, oh, that's just how it is, you know, it has its system of verification, just wait. but that's really just their way of pushing it off. So definitely you can always try to open up a ticket, but I've noticed that even if you open up a ticket and they go and look into it, if they don't have any details out there, any third-party info to verify it, they might just go ahead and ignore your ticket. So this is what you can do to kind of increase your trust and to be able to reach out to that Google rep and to basically demand them to give you your listing because you can prove your legitimacy. So how do you do that? It's actually a little bit simple. It's just tedious and it can take some time. You need to build your citations. So build, at least 100 citations that match up with the name, address, phone number that you're using for the Google My Business listing. Get those indexed. Make sure you are filling them up with content. Go on Facebook, Twitter, Yelp, Martindale, Avvo, Justia, all of those, and create your profiles. And of course, get all that info matching up on there. That would do a whole lot. If you want to go a step further, you can look into data or submitting your info to data aggregators. This might be expensive. You usually have to use an agency to do this for you. Otherwise, it can be really, really pricey to just submit your business details out there as a one-time thing. But that's another thing that you can do to further legitimize that NAP information that you're trying to use. And I've basically, out of all the times that I've seen a listing get stuck in pending, either it wasn't compliant, or two, it didn't have that third-party information out there. So out of all the times that I've experienced a listing getting stuck and not being able to be verified, I've been able to fix it by making the listing be fully compliant, or by providing enough third-party details so that Google can do its thing and verify that information. Another thing you can do if you have business paperwork, so if you have like official documents to verify, like LLC paperwork, any sort of IRS paperwork, anything really official, when you reach out to a Google rep, always tell them that you have that, and then ask them if they would like you to send that to them, just so that you can really show them that you're a real business, that you're not a spam marketer, that you're not just trying to create spam listings out there. But that's pretty much everything I have to share. Hopefully, if you're watching this and you got stuck in pending, hopefully this helps you out a bunch, because it's definitely helped me out and saved me a lot of headaches for any new listings that need to be created. So thanks for watching. This was a lengthier one, but if you're still here and you're looking for more details as to how we rank lawyers on the Map Pack, head over to lawyergnb.com. That's where you can find some more details as to what we do. But that'll be all. If you have questions, make sure to drop them down in the comments section below. That's going to be it for me today. I'll see everyone in the next video.